Donald Trump again? What fascinates his supporters and who are they? Jasmyn Jordan is young, religious, and studies political science in Iowa.
I definitely always felt lonely as a child, and so it was good to just be around a community of people who had the same beliefs as me.
Gilchrist is the president of a metal fabrication company in New Hampshire. He says Donald Trump is better for business.
I just voted for President Trump. Feel good about it? I feel damn good about it.
Jesus Marquez grew up in Mexico, lives in Las Vegas, and, like many Latinos, wants to see a strong man in the White House. 3 perspectives, 3 states, 1 goal: Donald Trump's re-election. We start our journey into the world of Trump supporters at the beginning of the election year in Iowa, a state in the middle of the country. Record low temperatures characterize the first caucus of the Republican presidential primary season. In the past 2 elections, Donald Trump had trouble gaining the support of young, college-educated Americans. That has changed. We meet Jasmyn Jordan at the University of Iowa in Iowa City.
So my dad is a truck driver. My mom decided to homeschool me because she just felt like I would get a better education, more focused education too. I definitely always felt lonely as a child.
Like many young Trump supporters, Jasmyn grew up in a very religious family. The 20-year-old from Illinois belongs to the generation whose start into college life was heavily influenced by the COVID-19 pandemic.
One thing I did like about coming to this school was that there wasn't super strict COVID regulations. And then, because I met all these people online who were going to University of Iowa, because there's all these just different chat forums. And so what kind of did make it challenging was I kind of didn't know, since I'm not wearing a mask, do I approach people who have masks? And it was really hard to make friends here. And then when I went to make plans with them on campus, no one wanted to meet up. It just depends
The feeling of loneliness from her childhood also dominated the beginning of her college life.
In November of my freshman year, I got an email that said Mike Pence was coming to campus. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest thing ever. And so YAF ended up being the organization that was hosting him. I think he's one of the most pro-life politicians, which I really liked. And so it was good to just be around a community of people who had the same beliefs as me, because I didn't really have that back home. Oh, here's something that was really cool that I got in the mail. I got a Christmas card from Trump and his family. So that was super exciting. So I never wanted to get into politics whatsoever. I always felt like it was boring or divisive. But then once I became really involved in YAF, I realized how important it was to stand up for what you believe in.
Jasmyn is one of the young conservative women who have embraced Trump's politics. And her support for Donald Trump is becoming increasingly visible. During the Iowa caucus, she even steps in front of the microphone to advocate for the former president. This also makes her many enemies.
And I started, saying just a whole bunch of hateful things about conservatives. And they screenshotted my profile from Instagram and, sent to all 800 of those students. And then they all started calling me a bigot, a white supremacist, a Nazi, and continuing to say just a whole bunch of hateful things that were very untrue and also just didn't make sense, because if I'm black, why am I a white supremacist?
In the evening, it's time. Members of the Republican Party have come together for the caucus.
I am calling this meeting to order. Welcome to the Iowa City 5 Precinct and Iowa City 21 Precinct Caucus.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
The meeting is now officially open. Jasmyn is giving her plea for Trump.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jasmyn Jordan, and I'm a resident of Iowa City, Iowa. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the greatest president of our lifetime, the only candidate who can beat Joe Biden, President Donald J. Trump.
Okay, we're gonna have a blue and egg.
He gave us nearly 300 judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices, and did more for life than any other president in history. He defended Christians from persecution. It's time to finish what we started and make America great again. Thank you.
It's 6 a.m. in New Hampshire, 1 week later. Today, the Republican presidential candidate will be voted for here in the northeast of the US. Jack Gilchrist is an early bird. He tries to eat vegetarian. He and his partner exercise a lot and are fans of humidifiers. They don't fit the typical stereotypes of Trump voters.
Generally speaking, Republicans are more business-oriented, less emotion, more pragmatism.
But that's not the only reason why the 69-year-old wants Donald Trump back in the White House.
When I call up this guy, I was always pro-choice until I saw Jackson's, my namesake, firstborn grandson of two, 5-month ultrasound, and that boy had a personality on his face. And I changed my stance to viability of life. I'm a veteran. 22 veterans every day swallow a muzzle and kill themselves. And they're homeless, and we're building hotels for illegals, for people that illegally enter the country under some bullshit guise of amnesty.
Almost all Trump voters believe that a President, Donald Trump, is so intimidating that no foreign power would dare to provoke him.
I don't think there would have been any war in Ukraine. I don't think anybody would have gone after Israel, no way.
His factory is 30 minutes away. Jack took over the family business from his father, and now he runs it together with his son. In good times, almost 50 people worked in the metal processing company, but currently there are only 34.
He can sand down the high spots, but then he's got to fill in. We're creating things to do. In a sense, we're almost teaching them to not work productively, to give them more time on the clock. It's kind of frustrating.
Jack goes to a community center to vote.
I'm glad you guys can get along.
There we go. Absolutely.
He's a business guy. He's going to percolate the economy. He's going to open up oil again. What I believe will change if and when Donald Trump becomes the 47th president of the United States is an invigorated economy, opening up petroleum, natural gas, fracking for natural gas, a very clean fossil fuel. I think most of the myths have been debunked about what fracking does that's bad. Clean fossil fuels is the best thing we have. Electric cars aren't going to make it yet. It's just not their time. You can't force electric cars on people when they can't charge their cars, especially in cold weather. When you're dependent on others, you're weak. When you're independent, you have strength, and strength breeds more strength. I just voted for President Trump. Feel good about it? I feel damn good about it.
Next stop, just over 2 weeks later, Las Vegas. We meet Jesus Marquez in his favorite restaurant on the eve of the primary election in Nevada. Latinos will play a decisive role in these elections as they are the second largest voting group. Today, almost 1 in 5 Americans has Latin American roots, and the times when they reliably voted for Democrats are over.
I was born here, and then we went back to Mexico, and I spent part of my youth in Mexico and then came back. Me celebrating my birthday today with my family, it's a personal event. However, we always talk about what I do. ¿Cómo está mi gente? Saludos y bendiciones. Estamos una vez más aquí.
Jesus has a radio show where he campaigns for Donald Trump in the Mexican-American community. The 49-year-old is paid for his political advice and also sells ads.
La campaña en contra de Joe Biden aquí en el estado de Nevada. Así es que vamos a empezar a recolectar toda esa información. The very first time I met Donald Trump was in 2016. Got a call and they say, we're looking for a group of Latino leaders from across the country to give him counsel and to Latino Hispanic matters. I flew into New York. We went to Trump Tower. on, I believe, Fifth Avenue, and I went up to his office. I sat across the table with him. The main advice I told him to go and talk to Latinos, to be open, to go to places like this and speak to Hispanics about the real issues. The number one, second, and third place among Hispanics is the economy, education, and health. But also the situation at the border. The policies that we have in place right now is allowing for these people to come in and then immediately get ahead of the line from other Latinos that have been here for decades. They're being offered social services that other Hispanics don't get.
Jesus says many Latinos feel the current migrants are receiving financial support that rightfully belongs to them and believe they're suffering because of the newcomers. This is a topic that Jesus regularly discusses on his radio show.
Because Donald Trump is the stronger candidate. The people like him, they love him, and more Latinos are liking him too. So we'll see what happens, but tonight will be a kind of like an indication of what the field is going to look like in the next months.
Long lines have formed in front of the voting stations on the day of the caucus here in the west of the US. The favorite is clear.
Trump all the way.
We had no wars when he was our president.
This state is going to pot. This country is going to pot. We need him.
Because he's the only one that can do and get America back to where it belongs.
Because he's the best. He already proved it once. He's going to prove it again.
If he doesn't get reelected, we will not have a country any longer.
He knows how to run a country. He's a great leader.
People see in him somebody who's not a politician, somebody who speaks with no filters and with no political correctness, and they like that.
It is still uncertain who will win the presidential election in November, but Trump can rely on euphoric supporters who know exactly why they want him as president and are ready to fight for his victory. In Joe Biden's camp, at least for now, there is no sign of this energy.